ladies, Sharon here. Okay, y'all been waiting for this. I knew we're gonna have so much fun. Got a lot of chit chat. Got to tell you some funny stories. What happened to me on the road? You've been waiting for this. We're gonna cover a few. You have to understand there's like 500 million stories, okay? And they're all disasters. But first, before we get started on that, I have to show you all the coolest thing ever. These are called makeup glasses. Now look at this. And they're for those of us that don't want to put our contacts on till after our makeup is done, or maybe we're not seeing real well anymore to put our makeup on. These are so cool. You put them on like this, and you have this one lens that you can pull up to either side. Okay? Let's say I'm going to do my left eye and I'm going to do my eyeshadow and all my makeup. I can see through this lens. To switch over and do the other eye, there you go. And can I tell you something? I used these with no contacts this morning to put my eye makeup on. So I know you got plenty of room with these. Now these are the coolest things I ever saw. I'm going to put a link down below because they're from the, it looks like Kikkerland company. You might be able to find these on Amazon too. I got them at one of the Oriental shops, but they're only like about $6. And they come in you know, the little cellophane packaging here. But these are heaven. And what is so cool, it eliminates all the eye strain. It's got the crystal clear lens, hands-free. The magnifier is like, what, 2.5 or something. So, I mean, it's got a little diagram on the back. But aren't those cute? For all us ladies that are totally blind and can't fix our eyes. Now, there's no excuse not to be fabulous. So I'll put that link below. I think you can get them on Amazon. And like I said, they're too cheap to pass up. And I used them this morning. I thought it was really cool. Okay, that's one thing I wanted to tell you about. I wanted to ask everybody how y'all are doing with your wish list so far into the new year. Gosh, I know so many of you are doing what I'm doing. You're trying to lose some weight. Listen, read my lips. I'm walking myself to death. And I mean, and then some. And you know what? I come back and I look in the mirror, look at my back end, and I still look like a sack of cats heading for the river. I don't know. This is going to take a long time. But see, I'm trying not to get depressed. I got to stop looking in the mirror and I got to stop getting on top of the scale. Just, you know, let it go. But, you know, I'm working up a pace. We've had some really good weather here lately in Dallas. I mean, you know, on the weekends we're running like, you know, 65, 75 type thing. So, I mean, we're back in shorts again. And, you know, we're walking and doing our thing. So, just wanted to know how the rest of you are doing, okay? It's slow when you get old, but you know what? It will pay off. Trust me on that. So, just hang in there, ladies. Keep up your wish list. Keep it up. Keep it up. Okay. We're going to start with some of the most insane stories you'll ever hear. First of all, you have to understand, I was on the road for almost 30 years, and I mean straight. Okay, no break. I just took a break when my daughter had become extremely ill in the hospital. And then that's kind of, I almost semi-retired then. But I had, you know, secretaries. Believe it or not, I went through I think I went through about 31 secretaries while I was on the road. Because I have OCD. I'm very anal. Everything has to be in its place and place for everything. When you're out in the public eye, you have to be entertained. You have to entertain yourself. And everyone and their dog is watching you at all times. So everything has to be just right. I did radio and TV throughout the country and public speaking all over the United States and abroad as well. So, you know, I stayed busy. All right, so one particular incident that I remember on, never forget this. We were in New York, and that was one of my hub offices. That San Francisco and Dallas were my little 3 hub offices. So I said, okay, Self, you're in here all the time. You need to get a place to live here. So I was looking at apartments, you know, high rises there. And my manager flew in from Philadelphia because she was going to help me select the right place and handle everything for me. And then I had my secretary. Now, this particular secretary was a sex addict. I know what y'all are saying. Oh, my God. She was, though. It was hysterical. But she was on medication for it. Other than that, she's a great secretary, but that leads me to something else down the line. But anyway, back to the story. So, we were going to go out. Typical, you know, hail the taxis, jump in, go run around, see all these places. Well, we had been doing that and all went well, and then my manager, being from the East Coast herself, has a problem. I don't know why she can't get along with taxi drivers. I swear every time she gets in, they start a fight. She says it's because they keep trying to wheel you around thinking you're just a tourist and you don't know the right way and run up the bill. So she's on their butt all the time and watches them. So it's kind of funny because they really hate her. You know, they really hate this little lady, okay? You know, she's one of those tough Italians, you know. So anyway, here we are. We're already having the argument with this taxi driver, and he's from Morocco. This particular one. So he was trying to get us to our destination so I could see this other apartment. We were, you know, meeting the leasing agent there. He got so flustered and the traffic so bad that he almost missed the place. So my manager screams out, "There it is, stop the car." Well, he stopped, just slammed on the brakes real fast. Now you have to understand, these taxis, you know, you have 2 little side glasses and the rest is like a hole, right? Well, I was in the middle. I had my secretary on this side, my manager on this side. We stopped so quickly, and about then I was weighing like $105, okay? I was, you know, like a size 2. And immediately I went straight through and I got stuck in the glass. I mean, my ass was hanging out. I was literally stuck. Well, he was screaming at me in some foreign language. Who the hell knows what his issue was? And he was beating my head, saying, no, you can't come here. You can't get up from front seat. No. And I said, well, yes, so-and-so. I don't want to get in the front seat. I want to get out. And he kept hitting me on the head with this newspaper. I was really mad because, see, nobody touches my hair, okay? I mean, nobody touches my hair. Don't mess with it. It won't stand up straight. You're beating down the products. Don't mess with the hair, okay? And so I'm screaming at my secretary, will you want to pull me out of this damn hole? And she's laughing. She and my secretary were both laughing so hard. And I said, okay, I'm glad you so-and-so think this is funny. Right about then, I'm running late for this appointment. My butt is stuck in the window. I'm being beaten in the head by a Moroccan. My secretary is laughing, and so is my manager, and they're trying to pull me out. Well, I was really stuck, and we couldn't get this taxi driver to understand what was going on. Of course, I didn't really care at the time. I just wanted to get out of the window, if you know what I mean, because it was beating on my hair. Now, I had on a suit, and I don't have to tell you how tight pencil skirts, you know, are to a nice fitting suit. They're like just made up for you, okay? So there was like no room for me to move from my back end or my legs or anything. And I'm a short little lady anyway, I'm 5 feet tall. So they're laughing so hard. So the bellman is coming down from the building, from this big brownstone, you know, to meet us, open up the car door, and my manager was laughing so hard, she fell out on the sidewalk laughing. And of course, I'm not laughing. By this time, I'm ready to kill everybody, okay? And then my sex addict secretary is still trying to pull, but she is very tall and had really long legs, so she couldn't, like, get in back of me and pull me out of this hole. So then she started laughing. So everybody's laughing, and I'm still stuck with my ass up in the air, okay, in this glass. So the bellman said, well, maybe I can help. Sure, right. Sure you can. I'm just gonna show the whole world my big rear end. Sure. So he manages to get in there and straddles the end of the car from both sides. He just does his legs kind of like this, because by this time my manager's out there and she's really laughing. Now she's crying. And my secretary, and she's crying, they're laughing so hard. And he's pulling. He's trying to pull me. Finally, he moved up a little bit, put his arm around my waist this way, and just pulled me back. I guess you would, just like you pulled somebody out of a pop, you know, out of a bottle or something. And needless to say, I was livid. But I was more concerned about my hair, and that this guy had now seen everything I had to my name, if you know what I mean, because he'd been in back of me. But when we got out, I just straightened myself up and said, okay. And then I extended my hand, told him, I am Mrs. Sharon Capehart, and I am meeting my leasing agent here, and acting like nothing happened. Of course, the secretary and the manager were just crying, tears running down their face. I hope they had a good friggin' laugh, because they're the ones, you know, that didn't get stuck in this situation. But it went along with all of my stuff. That's one story. I'll never forget that day as long as I live, and they still laugh to this day. And then, talking about my secretary at that time, we were officially on the plane when we left Dallas. Now, she was sitting there, you know, giving me a little bit more history about her life and so forth, that this medication kind of controls her addiction. And I said, I certainly hope so. I thought, oh my God, she's going to take every man on the plane, everyone we see, everyone on the road. Because, I mean, I didn't know she's going to act like a dog in heat and start hunting them down or what. But anyway, she said she had her medicine and she's really good. At the same time, she had to have a hysterectomy a couple of years back. So she had to have these hormone shots faithfully, or she just like lost it. And I said, So I'm just sitting here, you know how you listen to somebody's stuff, and I'm going, okay, how am I going to protect this part of my business? How am I going to protect this? I can't take her to this function, but I can take her to this, you know, all this going on in my head. Well, we're just sitting there, and so I'm reading over some notes, doing some paperwork, and now the clear blue sky, this woman jumped up out of her chair, screaming and yelling. Now, mind you, we're on an airplane, okay? We're in first class. Everybody there is terrified. Everyone in coach just saw this happen because they haven't closed the curtains yet. Okay, so the stewardess comes over and says, ma'am, are you all right? Is there anything? And she's ranting and raving and, you know, flipping all over the place. And we're going, what the hell is wrong with this crazy bitch, right? And so she just kept screaming and screaming, and they didn't know whether, you know, to land the plane. She's having an emergency, and I was trying to quieten her down. Of course, I'm getting embarrassed, right? I'm past embarrassed. I want to crawl in a hole and die because, you know, the stewardesses knew who I am, and they, you know what the story is. And then I have this lunatic that's going completely bananas here. Well, then she keeps pointing to her purse, and I look at her purse. Well, I noticed she had like a hormone shot. And so I said, oh my God, she needs this hormone shot. She's a real loony bin. Okay, great. So she's telling me she's got to have this shot. So I said, well, look, sweetie, bear it, so I can just sock it to you in the hip. And she did right first class. I mean, she managed to unbutton these dress pants she had on, just pulled it down enough for me to get the shot in her. And I mean, I don't even think it was not even 60 seconds. Immediately she just calmed down. Well, by this time, I mean, we had a marshal on the plane, and he was ready, I mean, to cuff her and throw the key away, I'm sure. But after, you know, she started explaining to us how important the hormone shots were, and that, you know, she had waited too long to take it. She thought she took it before we left, but she was so nervous at trying to prove herself and do such a good job that she had forgotten she didn't take the shot. Needless to say, we had this psycho, and they watched her the whole entire flight, not knowing what could happen or what could come up. Of course, I'm sitting there going, you know, this can only happen to me, right? And I had to end up with the sex addict that has a hormone addiction, and oh, boy, this is going to be a great trip. Look what I have to look forward to, right? Okay, then... this is probably one of the best stories. I also had to travel with bodyguards because of lots of incidences that would come up. Because, you know, I'm going to say what I think, right? Not everybody likes what I think, especially men. They don't always like what I have to say because their women may become empowered and not take their crap anymore. So sometimes, you know, I get threats. So I always had to travel with 2 bodyguards. Now, I used to get along great with my bodyguards. I loved them to death. God only knows I paid them a fortune. But, I mean, they played poker. I played poker. So it was kind of fun sitting on playing. We can play poker. We can do our thing. But because I am a prankster, when you're on the road so many years, it kind of becomes monotonous. So the one incident is... one of my bodyguards, when we landed to our destination, had to get out and go screen at the hotel where I was staying, the suite, and do what all they do. And the other one has to stay with me. Well, this one particular bodyguard said, okay, the other one has to report back to do something. At the radio station and around. I guess they have to, you know, skirt, make sure everything's safe, and entryways, check out all that. You know how they do. Okay, well, that was no big deal. Well, it was getting late. Everybody was getting tired, so we checked into the suite. My secretary and I, you know, were getting ready to crash. One bodyguard, like I said, was out doing his thing, and the other one decided he was going to take a short nap if I was going to take a nap. Because, see, they don't go to sleep if I'm up, you know. Because, you know, you never know if I'm going to be there when you get back up. So, we all decided just, okay, we're going to go to sleep. Well, a little bit later, we got up. The secretary and I did, and I noticed that the bodyguard was still sleeping. I said, gosh, we could have a lot of fun with him. I said, you know, we should really scare him, and we should pretend that there's a fire, and we should have a lot of smoke. And she looked at me, she says, are we supposed to be doing this? Oh, yeah, I'm the boss. We can do what we want. So I noticed right outside of her window, there was a tree, and it kept rubbing up against her window. Anyway, it was kind of annoying, and I said, oh, open up that window, because it was a sliding window. I said, open up that window and break off part of that branch. She says, well, why? What are you going to do? Just do it. Just do it. So she did, and I said, oh, this is going to be great fun. Because what we're going to do is we're going to light it here. Okay, and we're going to creep into his room, and then we're going to shake it around his bed, and we're going to act like we're doing this Indian dance, hey-ya, hey, and watch him jump up and chase us, and, you know, we'll mess with his mind. You know, that's what we'll do. She goes, oh, do you think I should call your manager about this? No, you're not going to call the manager. I'm the boss. This is what we're going to do. Just give me the branches. So we got the branches. She said, well, is this safe? Well, it doesn't matter. We're going to do it anyway. If we run into a problem, you know, we'll deal with it. Trust me, I know what we're going to do here. So we did. So we lit these branches. Well, this half of we lit the branches. She's kind of a scaredy cat. And I thought, oh, great, man, I have it smoking really good. But we got to hurry quick because I didn't want the smoke alarm to go off before we pull this prank. Right? Because then I don't want them to think I'm an arsonist or something. I just want to mess with this bodyguard a little bit because I can. So we lit the thing. I went in, shook all around his bed real quiet. All around his bed. Hey, hey. Doing this, sound asleep. Man, he's out like a light. All of a sudden I said, okay, really loud. Hey. And he jumped out of bed. Now, mind you, he had nothing on. Not a stitch. He wore no jockey shorts to bed. No BVDs. Nada. And he was just a flapping in the breeze. And, of course, I was laughing I was just laughing. It was hysterical. My secretary was laughing and he started running after me. I slammed the door real quick and then I went out the main hotel suite door and he was chasing me up and down the hall in his naked body. He said he was going to kill me. That was so funny. I'll never forget that. And then they called my manager and I had to, get in trouble a little bit. But it was fun. And we did that because we could. And I have one more for you ladies. Because, well, actually I have millions more. But we're going to do one more today. Because I want y'all to have a happy day and hear about Sharon's crazy life out on the road. Then I had a major show. How am I going to put this one? I got to kind of treat this gingerly. Okay, well, I had this major show in San Francisco. And the air personality that I worked with there is a total maniac. He is one of the largest personalities in the country. You all would all know him if I told you. And he and I are like this. And we do all this crazy stuff together to create a great show. That's why he's number one on the circuit, because I've been his crash dummy for years, So, okay, here we are, arriving in San Francisco for this great trip. Bodyguard, secretary, blah, blah, blah. This is a new secretary this time. And, I didn't want to take a chance on it anymore. So, she's pretty mellow. She's all right. So here we are, we're going to do this fantastic show, and we had some air personalities from New Zealand that were going to be coming in as well. And I said, okay, this is great fun. So here we're doing the show. We had TV spots afterwards to do. And then we decided we were taking them out for the evening to a couple of bars that the station, does a lot of their advertising for, blah, blah, blah. So we did, and I thought to myself, gosh, I told this air personality, because he knew my bodyguards really well by that time, because they were always there with me. He said, gosh, can't you think of anything fun to do and crazy? And I said, uh-huh, uh-huh. And I said, well, I said, one of my really good clients is a female impersonator down there, okay? He is lovely. I call him she, okay? And she will do anything if I just pass her some cash, because, she's an entertainer. That's what she does. So I gave her, a $100 bill, and I said, I need you to show up tonight because I want you to meet my bodyguard. And I said, I'm going to tell them that if they're on their own time, they can relax, they can have a drink, they can do everything they want to do. And I want you to rub up all over him. I want him to be so attracted to you. And believe me, she could pull this off. When she was dressed up, you would never in a million, she was gorgeous. The most gorgeous thing you ever saw. Okay, so her name is Lucy when she's Lucy. So Lucy was there, and of course, he spotted her as soon as we walked in, my bodyguard, because I was watching him. And of course, we were laughing because we already knew the setup to begin with. So my DJ and I were going, and he didn't know what we were doing. Bodyguard didn't care. He thinks I'm a loose screw anyway. So here we are, we're having a good time, we're having a couple of drinks, and he's not taking his eyes off Lucy. And Lucy's really all about getting with him. So Lucy comes up and introduces herself. And she keeps looking over at him, and I said, okay, you're on your own. You're free tonight. You can do what you want to do. Everything is cool. And so he is all over her like white on rice. Well, they were all over each other, you know what I mean? And I said to myself, okay, if he ever finds out that she's a he, I'm in some deep squat. My bodyguard, he's real macho, who's gonna kill me, which was so funny. So, well, it wasn't funny, but it's funny. So, all of a sudden, now the clear blue sky, They're kissing, they're getting along great. I mean, they got it going on. And we're over here at the other end visiting with the New Zealand friends and everything. And now the clear blue sky, you hear my bodyguard jump, go, "Oh! Oh my God!" And we looked at each other and we knew what that meant. So we flew out that door, started running down the Castro so fast our legs would follow us. My bodyguard tore out of that place after me, said, "I'm gonna kill you, bitch. I'm gonna kill you. You understand? I'm gonna kill you." And I said, "Oh God." So my DJ said, "You know what? He ain't kidding, Sharon. Come on, run. Use those little short legs. Let's run like the devil's chase us." And I said, "Oh, my shoes, my shoes." And he said, "To hell with shoes." I said, "Oh no, those are brand new expensive shoes. Pick up my shoes. Help me carry him. Run with him." He had one, I had one heel, and honey, we ran for our lives. Ran for our lives. And I mean, we ran so fast, then we went to another bar down there where they're sponsors of the radio station, and they hit us in the back like for a long time. Okay, we didn't even come back till the next morning because I knew he'd been waiting up for me, and he was going to kill me. I mean, I'm telling you, he was going to kill me. So we somehow snuck back, okay, and got in, and I don't know where he was at the time. I'm telling you. But my secretary said, "Oh my gosh, your manager is on her way, flying in, that she's afraid you're going to be killed. Your bodyguard's is wanting to quit his job. Your other bodyguard is trying to calm him down." And I said, "All in the day of travel, how much fun we had." So yeah, you know that question you guys asked me one time if I'm a bit of a prankster? A little bit. Needless to say, he did get over it. I'm still alive. He didn't kill me. He screamed. He hollered. He reported back to his boss. They call my manager. Say, whatever. I still pay the bills, so everything was all right. But that's what I have for you today, my ladies, okay? Yes, there's a lot more stories there. Think that was the last prank I ever played on those bodyguards? Never happened. There's more. Alright, so I hope you all have a great weekend. I hope you enjoyed these crazy stories. You asked for it, you're going to get it. I want to thank each and every one of my new subbies. Thank you so much for communicating with me and letting me learn a little bit more about you and you about me. I appreciate it so much. And to all my subscribers, I love you, love you, love you like crazy. I want each and every one of you to have a sassy, classy, and confident week. And I will see you next week with a whole lot more. And be good to you.